Hi, Sandro. I have Sandro Formica. How do I pronounce your name?
Formica,
Formica from Italy, right?
right? Well, half Italian, half American.
It was a pleasure. I was so delighted watching your talk. And you talk about self-awareness. And I think everything starts with us, right?
It does. The only confusion is that at times we think self-awareness is just to see all our pluses and all our minuses and sense of weaknesses and strengths, but we don't go beyond that. Or, maybe I'm not so nice today and tomorrow I'm going to be better. That type of self-awareness doesn't help you much. The self-awareness, instead of discovering your own potential by tapping into aspects of you such as your emotional self, your creative self, that is self-awareness. Because in reality, you have an extraordinary potential. If you are not using it, you are just aware of your limitations, not of your gifts.
That's great. You talk about the science of you, and you have a program in a university here in Florida, right? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. This program was created based on all these aspects of you that were not taught at school. So what I'm doing is filling gaps. For example, my students do not know much about what their values are. And so if they do not know their values, then they go through life at times without direction because maybe they buy into the values of someone else. So they choose a job that is not their job. They start a relationship without challenging the partner, the new partner, about their values. So we are sort of incomplete that way. I want my students to get the full benefit of who they truly are. So there are some aspects of us that are not taught at school. Very often they are not taught within the family. So they need to learn them. And the idea is really to empower them to be who the best version can possibly be.
Yeah, you talk about something that I thought that it is great, imagination, the power of imagination, right?
Yeah, this is another topic that is, for many people, is off limit. And I don't understand why. Because there are hundreds and hundreds of academic articles published that say imagination makes you a better athlete in sports. If you use imagination in addition to your practice, your performance increases. The issue is that whatever you imagine sparks the same areas of the brain of whatever you do. So it's the same thing. The brain doesn't make any difference between imagination and reality. So all you do, you are practicing something, and therefore you become better at that something that you imagine. So in medicine and in sports, imagination is widely used. Now, if it works in medicine and sports, obviously it works in any aspect of your life. So why don't we use it? And really, if you think about even the smartest animals, if we think about chimpanzees and things of that nature, they couldn't create much. Probably they respect nature more than humans. However, they are unable to create a building. This microphone, they cannot do it. How do we do it? Because we imagined this first, and then we started thinking, how can we make it happen? So everything in our life that is part of our advancement in life and society is coming from imagination and came from imagination. So imagination is the most powerful force we have, and we don't use it.
How would you ask someone, one of your students, how they could, use these kind of skills like imagination? Would you ask them a specific question?
Well, I do ask them, first of all, if they ever imagine. They say no. And then I tell them visual imagery is visualizing something that has not happened yet. And I want to know from them what is going on, because actually our brain works in images, so it's that simple. And eventually they confessed to me that the biggest activity of imagination is in imagining something they do not want, worrying about a future event that will damage them in a way or in another. So they come to the realization that actually the most powerful tool, in my opinion, they have, which is imagination, is used for self-defeating purposes.
And what if we could do it intentionally? You know, you activate this power that we have, imagining the good things, you know, dreaming. It is very powerful, right?
Right. Now, dreaming, if it's daydreaming, yes, it's intentional, and that works very well. Animals dream, as we know, cats and especially dogs, so we see it. But intended imagination, we are the only ones who can do it. So, what do you want in your life? And when I ask them this question, students, and not only students, even in executive training, many people know what they do not want. They are very clear on what they do not want. But when I ask them, what do you want? That just design, create the perfect life. And they struggle because most of the energy was dedicated to what they do not want. That's why they use imagination in a negative way. Instead, there is plenty of information related to imagination, and that says it is effective. Use it for your own well-being, not to be your enemy.
Great, great. We have so many resources within us, right? So, what is a message that you most want to share? That, you know, if you want to multiply, you know, to have your calling spread around the world, what would be this message?
The message is very simple. We study from first grade on, and executive education included, everything that is not ourselves, and everything that is outside of ourselves. You know, think about geography, and I have nothing against it. It's very, very important. But do you ever wonder why we don't study ourselves? And studying ourselves, it's not hocus pocus. It's science that supports it. It's science that explains the effects of imagination, of building on your talents and using your values. So there's so much science there. And I believe that studying ourselves is as important, if not more important, than studying things and aspects other than ourselves. So my purpose is to spread the science of you in every school of the world. And it doesn't matter if it's going to happen or not. It's happening already, but I'm very, very happy doing that. So another message to those who are listening and watching is, what is your purpose? What is that makes you live every day as excited as you possibly can?
That's great. Did you notice? Yeah, we are here at the WOHASU Conference Summit, World Happiness Summit of about happiness, and we've been to lots of places here. But when I interviewed you, we are right in front of the Purposed Outdoor. So I have the pleasure and the honor to have you here as a guest in our Inside conferences. So I hope we can take this to Brazil.
Ready. I'm totally ready. And Brazilians are so open to this. And I don't want them to be affected by the external world. Truly. The goal here is, okay, we have studied that the external world is more important than you. But guess what? If you think of anybody you think has been a success, it's a person to model, it's a star for you. They did it because their inner self was stronger than the outer self.
Great leaders, right? As you said in your talk, great leaders, they have this characteristic, right? Their inner world stronger than the outside world.
Absolutely. I mean, think about Gandhi. I mean, what if he didn't have this conviction that what he was fighting for was worth more than what others would tell him? he would have never defeated one of the most powerful countries in the world. This little man that who looks so fragile, who believed so much in his purpose that he didn't give up on it for any reason. Therefore, his inner environment was much stronger than the outer environment, to the point that he freed such a huge country like India from the Brits. So that is the message to everybody. You can all do it. You can all do it. But you first have to believe in yourself. So great that you have studied sciences that are outside of you. Now it's time to do the work on yourself.
And you know what? The great news is that we can work on our inside world. We can make it happen. The outside world, we don't have so much control, but our inside environment, we can act on it and we can build something great. And then we can do that, to be in the world, because it started within us, right? So this gives us power.
Absolutely. I see so many people who feel victims of the system. Again, they give more importance to what is outside. Therefore, what is outside determines their life. It's not true. It's simply not true. Now, when you work on yourself, it's not just reading a book. You have to experience. And that's why the only textbook that is available now on personal empowerment at the university level has over 150 exercises. Is right. It's not a book that you read. It's a book that you experience. The book is you, becomes you, because it's filled with exercises.
People can get at Amazon?
Sure they can. Absolutely.
The name of it?
Personal empowerment, empower the leader within you.
And this is liberating, right? We feel so, it's such a freedom and also a responsibility, because we know that we create what happens in our world.
Absolutely. It's liberating, but it's work. It's like going to the gym. You want to have a better body, you go to the gym every day or almost every day. You want to be a better self, you go to the gym of the mind, the gym of the soul, the gym of your emotional self, and you'll become better. It's inevitable. So it depends on you. What do you choose? You choose to live a life where you feel like a victim, or where you are the actor and producer of your life?
And this is what I'm writing about, I'm writing a book about you being the star of your own show. Like as if we were artists, and the stage is where we can shine and be our best selves, because the artist goes to the stage showing the world what he does best and who he is in his best version. So it's going to be launched next semester, and I really appreciate all your messages and your, learning from you today at the Summit of Happiness. It was a high point of the day, of the event, of this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure being with you. Thank you.